Scarves and Spikes match reaction show as we look back at Atlanta United's 2-0 loss to Nashville SC on Saturday at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Sitting with you, Henry is stopping in just a little bit, but thanks for joining us, whether you're watching on YouTube or listening to Apple Podcasts and Spotify. We do appreciate it. Remember, if you're watching on YouTube, please like, subscribe, and share our content, whether you're watching live or watching on demand. It does help us out a lot as we try to give you the best Atlanta United coverage out there. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, please rate us and leave a review. Let us know how you're doing. We read all the ratings, we read all the reviews, and we do appreciate your feedback. So I have to start with one of the main numbers that I found from Saturday night's match. So Atlanta United, with their loss to Nashville SC, and I wrote about it on scarvesandspikes.com. With their loss to Nashville SC, they of course fell to 1-6-1 on the season. Over their past 26 matches, they are now 2-15-9. So why 26? 26 matches is the time between now and the last time Atlanta United won back-to-back matches in MLS play. That was May 24th and 28th, 2025, when they beat FC Cincinnati in Orlando City. Again, that's 26 matches since that happened. Again, 2-15-9 in the last 26. At Mercedes-Benz Stadium, in their past 12 matches against MLS opponents. As we get Henry in here to help us out here. Henry, I was just going through Atlanta United in their past 12 home matches. First off, how are you? How's it going? Thanks for stopping by.
Thanks for asking. No, it's man, I just feel like the vibes are at a point where they're pretty dang low as
Yeah.
far as Atlanta United is concerned. I'm just speaking in general terms, and we'll get into it in a sec. You had a question.
No, I was just going through some of the numbers from last night, and the big number, of course, was 2-15-9. That's Atlanta United's record. I was muted, so you didn't hear any of that.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Yeah. I was just talking about Atlanta United being 2-15-9 in their past 26 matches. That's time span between the last time they won back-to-back matches in MLS play and last night against Nashville SC. In 12 home matches against MLS opponents since then, they're 1-5-6, 17 goals for, 23 against. That's a -6 goal differential, right? Average points per game at the Benz in those 12 matches, 0.75. 0.75. I haven't even mentioned away matches, by the way, which Atlanta United plays TFC on Saturday, the 25th, and that's another story. No, I'll do it. I'll do it. 14 matches away from Mercedes-Benz Stadium in MLS play. Last 14, 26-5. You have been outscored. -21 goal differential. Second worst in that time span to Sporting Kansas City's -26. You've been shut out in your past 6 away matches. You haven't scored multiple goals on the road against an MLS opponent since March 22nd, 2025, when you scored 2 in a 2-2 draw against FC Cincinnati. Out of a possible 42 road points, Henry, Atlanta United has picked up just 6 out of a possible 32 or 42 road points in their past 14 away matches. Actually, hold on. Yeah, I'm right. I was just doing some quick math. Yeah, 42 road points. They picked up just 6. Points per game, total of 0.42.
Wow.
I hate to.
I mean, that was a lot of math,
up,
but I got the gist of it. That this team just sucks. Yeah, I mean, look, man, it's no secret to anyone who's watched this team over the past, freaking 5-6 years at this point, that this team hasn't actually been good. That things are bad, and I think the worst part of it is that there's not like one single cause that you could point to. Like, there's not like you can't say, oh, it's just this one guy's fault, right? Or
Right.
it's you know, it was one bad manager or it was one bad person, in the like it is a collection of mistakes and a collection of disorganization, um, just spanning back many years at this point.
Totally, really. It
Yeah,
was.
and here's the thing: quite a few of those people are no longer involved with the club anymore, so there's no use in uh, kind of revising and being like, oh yeah, whatever. Um, but like I just get to thinking, man, it's this when you look at a team, when you look at Atlanta United right now, you see a very fractured roster. You see a team that the manager has a very clear idea of how he wants to play. Tata
Yeah.
Martino's play style has been evident from day one, and he has told us this. He has said he's not going to change it, and he doesn't have to, but he has a way of playing.
Oh,
And he has a roster that is built in such a way that he has some players that are okay and good at delivering that style of play. Especially, the players that he brought in, which makes sense. But then you also have some other players that don't fit at all what he's trying to do. That they just don't like their skill set. It's not that they're bad players. It's that their skill set just doesn't align with what he is trying to do. And so you're basically trying to, square peg round hole, or whatever the saying is, right?
yeah, yeah.
And there's no good way to fix that in the short term is the worst part. Like, I guess what I'm saying is it hurts right now and it's been hurting for a while,
Right.
but it's gonna hurt a little bit more before it gets, or it even has the chance to get better. Because by default, this team is what it is, at least until the summer window.
Yeah.
You're not changing anything until then. And you're not really improving until then, because there are some players that you need to move out, and there are players that you need to bring in to really give this team a shot at working. And we've been discussing
Mhm.
this in the Discord too, which, by the way, shout out to the Scarves and Spikes Discord. If you're not in there, get in there, because we're talking there all the time. But yeah, it's just,
Yeah.
it feels like if we didn't get this realization before, this is the point where we have realized that this season it's going to be a lot like last season.
Maybe
And
worse.
yeah, might be worse, but it's like this team needs a metamorphosis. And unfortunately, we're going to have to eat some crap until the summer window opens and this team can actually make some moves.
I guess, Henry, though, it seems like that's been the case the past few years, right? I mean, I agree with what you're saying, but fans have just had it, and we saw it in the crowd. Like, yeah, Cardi B was playing at State Farm Arena till like midnight or whatever. The Hawks, they opened their playoff series against the Knicks on the road, but I mean, even if that was the factor, you still expect in Atlanta United's heyday, say 2017 to 2019, right, to draw at least 40,000. At least 40,000. I think paid attendance was like 35,000 or something like that. So that's about $7 tickets left on the table for Saturday's match. I shudder to think, though, Wednesday's match will look like against New England. So weeknight, but teams, people don't want to come down to see a bad team, and just where we are right now. It's just apathy among the fan base. And yes, you say it will take some more windows to get this straightened out, but I feel like we've been saying that for the past few years. Like I said, so what more can LA United do? It's
Yeah.
yeah,
It's just, it's a really bad situation to be in.
yeah,
And and again, like, the fans do deserve a lot better, because even when things were, you know, especially bad, right, and fans continued showing up through, 2022, which was a really bad year. Uh, you know, you just had, no matter what, and even after 2022, no year was really good per se. 2023 was okay, but it wasn't the standard that
Yeah.
Atlanta United had set. It, because it
Right.
hasn't gone anywhere near that, and it has just fallen off a cliff spectacularly. And it is an indictment on the organization for just how it's been run and some of the decisions that have taken place. And uh, unfortunately, it kind of feels right now that the the results are kind of irrelevant at this point,
Mhm.
because it, like, Atlanta's not a favorite going into any games. Have you noticed
Yeah.
that? Like,
Yeah.
Atlanta's just never favored to win anything. No one believes that they can win.
Yeah.
And I can't blame them for that, because you watch them play, and it's like, you see some promise. You see some good
Right.
stuff. You see them, and in this game, like, up until I want to say, like, second half, up until the second half, Atlanta was actually playing decently. They had
Yeah,
some
they were.
ideas. They created some chances. They arrived in good areas, and then they're just missing the final details. And it's frustrating, because it's like, well, y'all are soccer players. You really don't know what to do in these positions. Y'all are being paid the big bucks.
Yeah.
You really don't know what to do in these positions. Just shoot the ball. Just
Right. Right.
find a pass. Do something. Like, finish it off. You did all the hard work, and now you don't do anything after that. Like,
Yeah.
it's mind-boggling to me.
It's like
Just
building a house without the walls.
yeah.
Just unfinished.
And, like, I gotta sympathize with Tata Martino, and I'm not saying he's free of blame, because I'm sure, there are, uh, you know, things that he shares in as well,
Yeah.
but I gotta sympathize with him. Like, when he said that he never in his nightmares, like, he would have imagined this position, I gotta believe him, because who would?
Right.
Who would imagine this? That you would, with a $50 million attack, with players that are, at least on paper, among the most talented in the league, that they would be shut out in 5 of their first 8 games. Like, that is insane, and I think he's gotta be at the end of his wits, trying to figure out
Yeah.
how he gets this team back on track. Like, because he has multiple problems right now, both offensively and defensively. And personally, if I'm him, the first thing I'm trying to figure out is, how do I get this team to score goals? Because without that, you're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
And again, that comes down to, who do you have available? How do they come together? Miggy is out for at least another week, maybe a week and a half. So you can't count on him. He was creating quite a bit for you, but in this game, he wasn't there, and you survived without him. You played pretty well. I just, I don't even know where to go from here,
Mm.
Sydney, because it feels like, y-
Groundhog Day.
it just feels like you really do need a clean slate on this team and on this roster, and you need to just torch it and kind of start over. Um,
Yeah.
I'm seeing in the chat some mention of, uh, you know, the buyouts and stuff. Uh, I will say that we talked to Chris Henderson at the end of the window, and I asked him about the buyouts, if they're planning to use them. He said that they were a last resort. So that is not a
Right.
no. That is not closing the door on using the buyouts. And I don't think it's clear and obvious that they won't use them, because I think they have to. And I think, and this is just my opinion now,
Yeah.
I think if you are an organization, if you are a sports team, professional sports team, in the situation that Atlanta United is in right now, and you are given an opportunity, a tool in the buyouts, two of them, mind you, two of them.
Right.
And you have until, because of MLS roster rules, you have until the end of the summer window, which I believe closes in September.
Yeah, something like that.
You have until the end of that window to use the buyouts this season. If you are in the position that Atlanta is right now, where you have some really bad contracts that you need to get rid of, and you don't use the buyouts, which are a tool that are available to you, and also you are an organization owned by one of the richest people in the
Yeah.
country who has shelled out unimaginable amounts of money to make this club work and make US Soccer come to Atlanta and bring all of this, make it happen.
You got to make some tough choices.
You got to make some tough choices.
Yeah.
And if
Not
you
popular choices, but tough
and if
choices.
you as an organization do not use the buyouts, knowing that you are in this position and you need that tool, then that is a mistake. That to me is irresponsible. Because how are you not going to use that tool that you have to
Yeah.
help you move along and kind of you know uh, fix some of the mistakes that you have been making? Like that would blow my mind. Now, I understand what Chris Henderson said about a last resort. Obviously, in a perfect world, you would like to get something for these guys. Some of that, for some of them, that might not be possible. For quite a few of them, you might have to take a loss even. But at the end of the day, if there is, if you're getting to the close of that window and it's becoming very abundantly clear that there is no way you're going to be able to recoup any dollar for them, then you got to use the buyouts, man. Because if not, then you are wasting a chance to, clean house a little bit, to offload some really bad contracts, and to finally make some genuine strides towards getting this team back to semi-decency.
Yeah, because that was my question, and Jay was kind of mentioning it. Jay Riddle in the chat, thanks for watching, was kind of mentioning it, alluding to what is the definition of last resort. And he said if Atlanta is in the near playoff spot by the summer transfer window, which, sitting here, Henry, thinking about it, I feel like that's pretty far-fetched. So what is that definition of last resort? And, if you look at, these players that the DPs, I'll say the DPs, I forget who said it, but could it be that they're trying to find some market for, let's say, Latte Lat and Moranchuk? I don't think you're going to sell or buy out Almiron. But here's the thing. Maybe they're looking for a market for the two of them. And, sort of what you were saying, if they can't find a market for either of them, they'll have to cut their losses. Yeah, I understand. Yeah, you're paying a lot of money to come from underneath those contracts. But would you rather do that and be rid of that contract that has netted you nothing, or would you rather just keep an underperforming player on there? I mean, you're just have a DP side being filled by warm body at this point, and Latte Lot. Moranchuk, I think he can maybe get something for him, even as break even or something like that. Maybe a Russian team in the first division is looking for somebody that may be willing to come back to his home country. But I mean, and kind of shifting gears, to Latte Lot, because this is Henry beyond bad with him. I mean, this is you Saturday against Nashville pretty much encapsulated what his tenure has been with Atlanta United for two reasons. Number one, has an open net to shoot at. Brian Schwacke is pulled way off his line. Yes, it would have been offsides, but he doesn't even hit the net. Doesn't even hit the net. And then, what did you know? The second half, he gets dispossessed. Nashville goes the other way. Mukhtar feeds Espinoza, and Espinoza scores 1-0, and essentially the team just shuts down after that. So, yes, they played well in the first half, but not good enough in the second half. And look, you talk about service. When Latte Lot does get service, he wastes it. When he does, he's not effective. He's anonymous. He hasn't had a shot on goal
Henry in his past 4 matches. So it's just, why are you keeping him around at this point? Yes, it's
Yeah,
a
he's
lot
a
of
bust.
money. Yeah, exactly. When you look at the worst DP signings in MLS history, Latte Lot has to be up there. And I'm sorry, it's just the way it is right now. He's
Oh,
an
I think he's
absolute
number one.
bust. Yeah,
I'm sorry, I
$22
think he's
million.
number one because you broke the MLS transfer record for him last season. He had all this expectation going into his first season, and he's crap. And we're like, oh, okay, well, you know, he'd been playing soccer for I don't know how many months straight. He didn't get preseason. It's because Ronnie Dyla was a bad coach and the team was crap and whatever. Like, oh, okay, no, Tata Martino's here. It's gonna be he rests. You got Tata. It's a preseason. He's gonna be fine. He's gonna take off. And he didn't, and he hasn't, and he just doesn't look like he's going to.
Yeah.
So at that point, you got to accept he is what he is, and you cannot continue with him, right? He cannot be in Atlanta United's long-term future because he's taking up a DP slot that you need, and he's not doing anything with it. Like at this point, I would genuinely prefer to have Kim and Togashi on the field because
At least he can score.
Yeah, at least his movement looks better. And I saw him score on Wednesday, which is, more recently, he looked more dangerous than Latte Lot has. That's sad, man. And I don't know if it's like, has Latte Lot's confidence completely just gone? Is he just not built right for this league? I don't know, but it's just something weird, man. I just gotta say it. I don't think any of the 3 DPs are truly right for this team right now. I think at some point you got to move from all of them. I just think Moranchuk is the easiest to move because of his performance. He's the best performing one. He's the best of the worst.
That's not saying much.
I know. He's probably the easiest one to move on. Second easiest to move on is probably Latte Lot, even though I don't see how you're going to recoup anything close to what you paid for him. You're going to have to take a big loss on him. You have to take a big, big, big loss on him. And then Miggy is not going anywhere. First of all, because he's on a massive contract. And second of all, he's on that downward decline, right? Mm-hmm. He's at the point in his career where, he's going down in terms of his form. He's not as fast as he used to be. For the profile of player that he was that made him so excellent, like that just isn't totally there anymore. And also because he has a deep connection to this club, and the club's not going to buy him out because I think that would cause a riot.
Yeah.
Like imagine where the vibes would go if they just like bought out Miggy. Like for some of us to analyze a little bit, and we're like, okay, maybe it's a good move. Like we might be kind of okay with it, but at the same time, like, I don't know. They have to figure out how to free some of those DP slots, and whether it's selling, whether you can sell, whether it's a buyout. We've mentioned it before, Sydney. Like you buy a Latte Lot out. I think you do. I think I think you could use one of your buyouts on him, and I would be totally fine with it because you need that DP slot. But Latte Lot for me, he's not the guy at all.
So that begs the question: if you buy Latte Lot out, I mean, where do you look for a new striker? Do you look in MLS to
South America?
Okay, well, South America. Do you look at South America? I mean, or is there somebody in MLS that you can say, "Hey, let's attempt a cash for trade for him and bring him over"? Do you? I was gonna say, do you bring out Joseph Martinez? But that's pretty much you're doing the same thing you do with Almiron and Tata, right? You're expecting different results. I mean, just going for nostalgia. Yeah, it's just a nostalgia play at this point. But you have to think about. You have to have in mind who the next striker is for your club if you do buy Latte Lot out. You have to be absolutely sure that it works out. And that speaks to the scouting department. Jonathan Spector has gotten a lot of hate in the fan base, and that hate has ratcheted up the past few years. Um, and I feel like a lot of it is warranted. Um, and when you tie that in with the bio discussion, you have Calibro coming in the summer. I don't think he's going to like flip the tables over immediately, but would imagine he has a couple of people in mind that he would like to bring with him to his new role. And whether that's scouting, whether that's, technical director, sporting director, what have you, he'll have a different vision. And yes, maybe Chris Henderson says this is the last resort, but if Calabro comes in and says, hey, you know what? This can't be a last resort. We have to seriously consider doing this. Then, yeah, it's not out of the realm of possibility that happens. And so I wonder if Henderson will buy into that. I'm sure he will, because at the end of the day, right, he wants the team to be good. And they aren't right now, but if Calabro can convince him, he'll be Chris's boss, right? And they have to come to the agreement that, hey, it can't just be as a last resort. You have to have serious discussions about doing it in the summer.
I think the great thing about Culebra is that he is coming from a league in Liga MX where not only has it for a long time probably been the dominant force in CONCACAF, I would say, because ultimately that's measured in CCC titles.
Mm-hmm.
He's run a very successful operation there over the past several seasons. And the thing about Liga MX is that there is so much more pressure over there to succeed and to win than there is here. And let me kind of explain that
Sure.
that is just kind of part of the culture, as far as fans and media just being much more, I guess, demanding over there. And it's the same thing in Argentina, for example, and in Brazil. That it's just another level of that them being on top of them to succeed, right? I'm trying to figure out how to explain this right, but there's just another level to it. And so he knows that you need to be decisive, and he knows that I don't think he would have taken this job without realizing, yeah, this club is in some grip. I mean, obviously he's building the NWSL franchise also. And that's probably part of the reason he joined, but he also has to lead this Atlanta United franchise. And so he knows that he needs to get the fans back on its side, right? He knows that the fans, he needs to bring them back somehow. And the only way you're going to do that is if you make some tough decisions, if you show that you are really going to make change happen. Because that's I think at the end of the day, if you ask an Atlanta United fan what they want to see that there is actual genuine progress, that there is, that the club recognizes that, hey, this is bad. We have made mistakes and we are trying to rectify them. Right. I think that's what a lot of fans would like at this point, and to see genuine steps towards that. And I think that he knows that this is what they need to do to make things better. And I think also he knows the types of signings and the types of player profiles and kind of the direction that this team needs to succeed, because he did it at Tigres. Tigres has been a dominant team in Liga MX for a while, and they still are. And that is thanks to his work for a good, not just on the masculine game, but in the feminine game as well.
Yeah.
And so he's bringing that here, and I think that is really good for Atlanta. I'm just curious how do I say this without? I'm curious when he comes in.
Yeah.
How quickly he decides that there are certain people within the organization that need to move on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or if he knows already that that's something he'd like to do. Again, he doesn't start until I think June 2nd when his contract with Tigres ends. So
June or July.
So it's still a little bit to go there. But he will be involved in the summer window, which is good for Atlanta. So yeah, again, Culebro is gonna. God, I said the same things about Garth, but I think that Culebro is in a different profile as Garth, and I know I'm rambling a little bit, but I do want to say that I think we had a conversation that in this morning in the Discord that I thought was really interesting, and I want to bring it up, where basically we're kind of talking about where Atlanta United is right now and how it got here, why it seems to have kind of gotten worse over the past few years. And there is a section of fans that have kind of placed the blame on Garth Lagerwey because the club has only gotten worse. Only got worse in his tenure, right? He's not at the club anymore. It only got worse at his tenure.
Yeah.
And we kind of rack our brains because Garth was highly successful in RSL. Garth was highly successful at Seattle. We thought he would bring that success here, and he didn't. And the thing is, you look back at kind of these teams that he built before Atlanta, and you got to realize they were in a different day and age of MLS. MLS has changed so much since then, right? RSL, he was there, like 2009?
Yeah, something like that.
We're talking about 2 years after the designated player rule was invented, right? At that point, you only had one of those. Now you have three. And then Seattle, this was even still before another revolution would take place, which was the let's go sign really young South American players and kind of develop that potential before the U22 initiative was a thing, right? That came around, I think, 2021. And a big part of that was because Atlanta United was highly successful with it. And LAFC was highly successful with it. And it showed a big shift in what this league was. MLS 2.0, if you will.
Yeah.
Garth, he was kind of an old head, right? In the sense of he was used to a different MLS and he was successful in that type of MLS and building a team in that type of MLS. And then when you brought him into an MLS with Lionel Messi, right?
Yeah.
And teams who were exploiting potential, like LAFC has been doing with players like David Martinez, with Nathan Ordaz, with Miami, who has Talasco Segovia, and you're I'm trying to remember the other kid's name, Matteo Silvetti, right? Yeah. Go around the league and tell me how many other players are like that. Garth was so reluctant to use U22 slots that he didn't make a single U22 signing in 3 years that he was here.
And then when he kind of goes on hiatus, look what happens. Right?
Exactly. And that's the thing, right? He was used to success and his model of success. If this were like 10 years ago, Atlanta might be in a totally different position. Yeah. Because it was a different MLS back then. And he understood a different MLS. But the league has changed.
Yeah.
And he comes into this team that has huge resources. And I don't think he was prepared for that either. Because he never had those. And I think he also kind of got excited in that regard. And so I'm not saying all this to kind of throw Garth under the bus or to, say that he's a bad MLS exec or kind of trash him in any sense. No, I highly respect him still. Because he's still going to know more about this league than we do. Right? Yeah. But I just think that part of the reason that he was not successful here was because the league was so different. And then I tie that to an answer that Tata gave me when I asked him, because I thought in his introductory presser, he said that the most successful MLS teams count on a good core of Latin American players.
Mhm.
And as someone who writes for MLS in Espanol, that was an important quote for me. So I was like, okay, well, why? And he said this, and he said it again before. He said that the player from Latin America, the young player, they're coming to MLS as an intermediate step in their journey to Europe. Think Thiago Almada, think Miguel Almiron, and then plenty of others around the league.
Yeah.
The player from Europe usually comes here at the tail end of their career. And the young player from Europe doesn't have to go to MLS because they're already in Europe. They don't need the break-in. They're already there. The South American player, the Latin American player needs, they need MLS to teach them, first of all, to adapt to a different country, to a different league, to a different language, a different culture, to be far away from home, to see if that works, and to obviously finish developing in a footballing sense in a league that is competitive. That is why you have seen so many Latin American players come to MLS and kind of look to pursue the rest of their career, well, at least the next step in their career here. That is the attractive point of it. Because only the really, really good South American players go directly from South America to
Europe.
If you've noticed that.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, right? I got to thinking, well, when your motivation is, I want to play for Real Madrid, I want to play for Barcelona, I want to play for Liverpool or Bayern Munich or whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
And you come to MLS with that in your mind, you're going to come here and fight like your life depends on it, because that's what you want. That's your drive.
You have the chip on your shoulder. Yeah.
Even if you're gone in 2 years from that club, you're still going to fight like hell for it. Right. Yeah. And that's what Miggy did. That's what Almada did, because he wanted to be where he is right now. And it's not to say that he didn't feel anything for the club. I bet he did. It's just that he had a goal in his mind.
Right.
Right. And so that's the thing, right? I think that you needed players who are going to come here and believe and really truly like feel that they wanted to make something happen after this.
Yeah.
When you look at Garth's prime age player strategy and his shift to looking more in Europe, and you look at the players that he brought, Alexei Miranchuk, player who is in his prime, probably isn't going back to Europe, right? Or doesn't have going back to Europe in his mind because he was already there.
Yeah.
Right? Does he have that motivation? Is he going to have the same motivation that, for example, Thiago Almada had, or the same motivation that Miggy had his first time when he got
Not
here?
really.
Exactly.
Yeah.
A player like Saba Lobjanidze, for example, who was playing in Turkey at the time and was kind of close to the end of his prime years. Is he going to have the same motivation that a player like Tomas Jakob or Elias Baez, who, all they've known is either Argentina or Argentina and Mexico in the case of Jakob? Like, these are young guys who want to play for their national team and want to show that they have the stuff, right? They're highly motivated. They are beginning their careers. Whereas a lot of these other players that Atlanta United has been signing for the past 3 years under Garth, they've been towards the end of their careers.
But sorry, let me ask you this though. Well, you mentioned Alexi, you mentioned Saba, and so I'll throw a lot for that matter into that conversation. Is it that, or let me back up, should the fact that you're getting paid to play football motivate you? Even though I've been there, done that. I've played in Europe. I've already gone there. I'm in MLS now, and I don't have that pressure that I had when I was trying to get to Europe in the first place. Shouldn't the motivation already be in there that I'm getting paid, I want to perform, I want to play for the badge? It's just mind-boggling, because you can see some of these guys don't care. You can see their minds are elsewhere. It's just going through the motions. They say the same thing week in and week out. They don't care. If they did, we'd be seeing more results, except we get what we got last night against Nashville. And yeah, mind you, again, at least they played decently, but still the gulf between Nashville and Atlanta is just so massive. And even I'll take that point though that you just made about players that have already played in Europe. I mean, what about Sam Surridge? I mean, he's played in Europe and he started up in MLS. So I see what you're saying, but there's another side to that where
Yes.
it's the type of players, the mentality that a player has that you have to cut through the bull and say, hey, this is a player that truly, truly wants to be here, truly, truly wants to play for the best, truly, truly wants to get results. And they give everything on the training ground, and they give everything for all 90 minutes on the pitch. We're not seeing enough of that for Atlanta United players or from Atlanta United players. Yes, it's good that Hakel plays for the badge. Yes, it's good that Galata has looked great since he's got in here. Baez is kind of, off and on. But why do you need that motivation to go to Europe to perform for this team? It's mind-boggling.
You shouldn't need it.
You shouldn't need it.
I agree.
Yeah.
But and that's the thing, right? Like this that's why the prime age players philosophy, I think, was fundamentally flawed.
Yeah.
Because when you're young and you're just starting out in your career, I feel like you have much more to prove, and you're going to have much more willingness to really kind of go out of your way to show yourself and to grow and to, go die for the badge, I guess is as the saying is. And ideally you would want players that are going to be like, oh yeah, I love this club. Like I would lay down my life for the club or whatever. But you got to face, like, that's not how everyone's going to be.
Yeah.
And for some people, the money is enough, especially if you're being paid millions of dollars. Like, do you really care? Yeah. I'm not saying that like personally, I think if you are a soccer player, your priority beyond just getting paid loads of money is, I want to be the best, right?
Yeah.
I want to compete and I want to win and I want to give the best of myself. But when you have Ronnie Dyla last season saying, I've never seen this before in my life. And then you have Tata Martino last night saying he never in his nightmares would have imagined something like this. Hold on.
Right.
Ronnie Dyla wasn't a great coach, but Tata Martino is.
Yeah.
So maybe this isn't a coaching problem.
I think we're past that.
Maybe.
Well, past
just
that.
maybe. The players are, there are some players that are not fully bought in, that are not the I'm gonna die for the badge players,
right?
Because if they were, then they wouldn't be giving up as early as they are, right? They wouldn't be. We wouldn't be hearing this, at least. So here's the thing: who are the players that are going to fight the most for you? Your homegrowns, because they've got something to prove. Yep. And they've grown with the club. They've been in the academy. By nature, they love the badge.
They grew up watching the team.
Fight for it, right? Yep. And you see that, right? You just see a different spark when Cooper Sanchez plays, when Jay Fortune plays, when Matt Edwards plays, when Luke Brennan plays, for example. You go down the line. You see a different spark. And maybe they don't have the same talent level that your Miggies have or your Moranchuks have or some of these other international signings have. But gosh darn, do they got passion.
They care.
Gosh darn, they play with heart. And that's like, for example, last summer, I think that's what hurt the most when you sold Efrain Morales and Noah Cobb, is that they had that same passion too.
Yeah.
And they loved this club. I talked to Noah about, him and why he loved this club and his dream being to play in Mercedes-Benz Stadium and hearing, Matt Lowry talk about how this guy was going to be the future captain of the club. And I believe that until the darn club sold him.
Yeah.
Like that, you willingly gave up a player that was going to fight for you.
Right.
Two players that were going to do that really had a connection to the club. And that's why it's kind of hard to forgive the summer window from last season, right? But I will I will move on from that for a sec because that's a whole other conversation that we could go into. The point is, you need players that are going to fight for the badge. The only ones, the ones that are most going to do that are your homegrowns and your young players who are just getting started and who really want to prove themselves. So I'm just saying, I don't think it's a coincidence that once you move on from I'm not going to sign any players that are under 22 years of age philosophy, I don't think it's a coincidence that once you start moving from that, you're going to start finding some more success.
That's why RSL is doing so well. I mean, look at the players that are performing for RSL. Diego Luna being one of them. Solans, who is I believe, a draft pick, but you can count him under young players as well. Hazakani, they go homegrown. Look at Red Bulls. We joke about Red Bulls, but those kids have passion. I mean, Julian Hall will be playing in Europe next year, I guarantee it. But it just speaks to. But here's the thing, though, Henry. The young players are being given a chance outside of Cooper, Jay, Will. You see him get some time. He's affected the first team. Matt, to some extent, but Luke, not enough. Chonky, still, I feel like a little ways away. You have to have a pathway for those younger players to get to the first team. And Morales, who's probably regretting being sent to Montreal right now, the way they're playing, although they beat Red Bulls on some Saturday. And then Cobb, Colorado's looked decent, although they lost to Miami. Those are players where you could build around foundationally. And you have to have a better game plan for those young players to actually grow and actually affect the first team with regularity. So well said. I mean, you're on fire this episode, aren't you?
I got him, man. It's just look, we as kind of journalists, and feel free to disagree with me. I'm not trying to speak for you, but as people who cover this team, we try to have some level of objectivity, obviously, because we need to preserve that level of professionalism. But when you have to write about this team and make videos about this team and respond to questions about this team, and it's just like it's the same thing over and over again.
Exactly.
There's just nothing new to talk about, and it gets so frustrating and stale, and you just want to see something different, and you want to not go into games knowing like, well, it's probably another loss, right? So it's like we go into every game with that mentality.
Yeah.
Like, it gets exhausting. And I hate that because I love soccer and I love writing about it and I love that I get to cover it. I just wish I got to see some better soccer, and I wish I get to I know that that's kind of like I don't know if that sounds funny or anything, but I really wish that we at least had some level of unpredictability, right? That we were like, oh, okay, well maybe there's a chance, maybe we see a team that looks different. Maybe we have some sort of change. That's what I want, man. I just want to be able to say something different about this team.
Yeah. What tangible change? I'll let you answer this first before I give you my take. What tangible change would you make on Wednesday against New England, knowing that you have a match on Saturday afterwards against TFC on the road, and knowing that you have a match next Wednesday against Charlotte FC on the road in an Open Cup? Are there any formational changes? Are there any personnel changes you would make in that lineup against the Revs? Or, I mean, because what you have right now isn't working. So, I guess where do you stand on that? Do we see any changes on Wednesday, or is it more of the same?
Are you asking what I think we'll see or what I would do?
What you would do? What you would do?
What I would do if I were Tata Martino. Okay. First of all, I'm benching Latte Lat. That's number one. I don't know if I would play Cayman. I mean, I'll tell you what I would do. What I've been like in my mind's eye. What I would do. I'd play Alexei Moranchuk as a false nine, because he played that position very, very well. in preseason. And I get preseason Lexington is very different from regular season MLS, but he played pretty well. And I think that role suits him because he's a little bit closer to goal. And if you can get him the ball closer to goal, then he's likely to succeed. I would play on the wings. On the right, you still don't have Miggy, so you can't play him.
Yeah.
Throw Saba back out there on the right, and on the left, put Pedro Amador, is my thought. Because I think offensively, he gives you quite a bit. He showed that on Wednesday in Open Cup. I think that he's probably your best bet to create danger in the attack. Galarza Fortune. Frick. I don't want to say William, but at the 6.
Yeah.
Okay, you know what? I would say Jacob at the 6. And then Matt Edwards as your right back.
That's right back.
Because I think Jacob gives you a little bit more stability at the 6. He's just a little bit more aware, I think. So I prefer him in that position. Gregerson, Mihai, your center backs, Baez, left back, and then Hoyos in goal. Just because Hoyos at this point, he did well in this game, honestly. I got to give him credit. If it weren't for him, it would have been worse. So I'm fine with keeping him there. And then, that's what I would – man, it hurts not putting Cooper Sanchez in this lineup because he played so well. But you got to pick and choose your moments, and I just think Jay Fortune is probably your better bet in that position. But yeah, those are kind of the changes that I would make. And that is the same lineup that you roll out against Charlotte. Because I really do believe that is probably your best bet. That's your best 11 in my opinion. The way that the players are playing right now, the form that they are in, that is your best team.
You've had a lot out there for so long, and he hasn't really done anything. So I'm not totally against the decision to bench him because you need somebody in there who at least can give you something in the attack. Because, again, we mentioned when Lat does get service, he wastes it. He's indecisive. He's slow. That's not what you need in a striker. Could it work that Miranchuk is a false 9? Could it work that Amador could play on the wings in favor of Baez at that left back spot and Edwards at that right back spot while Haka moves to the 6? I mean, it could happen. It could happen, but you can't, and this is Tata's problem. He's very stubborn, and we already knew that. But you can't just keep doing the same thing and trying out the same lineup that hasn't been performing for you and expecting it to improve all of a sudden. Because, A, you don't have the personnel that can get you wins right now, and B, you're just banging your head against the wall. I know that Tata says he can fix it. I know that he says that eventually sort of the switch will flip. He has to make some decisions that may not be popular decisions, but are necessary decisions. Miguel Miron, when he comes back, does he need to play every match? You have to think about that. Yes, I know you've known him ever since 2016, ever since the Lady United was formed, but do you come to a point where you say, this is not a personal decision, this is a business decision. This is for the good of the club. This is for the good of the badge. And that's decisions that Tata Martino needs to make. We know that he's stubborn. You know that he's slow to change. He has to change. And if he doesn't, this team runs more of a risk to drop even further down the table and play even worse than they are right now. And that's where we are. Tata Martino isn't completely, and you mentioned it earlier, some blame rests with Tata Martino. I think the longer he sticks with the same plan, the same formation, the same personnel, the worse it will get. And that's where we are right now. Yes, summer window, you get some players in, but you can't do anything about that now. You have to do something with the players you already have. Get players out there that can play for the badge. Get players out there that, yes, it's unpopular that they're out there, but it's the right decision. And it's a decision that, again, is for the best of the club.
Yeah, again, I think at this point, you've seen what you need to see from a lot of these guys that are routinely starting, and they're not getting you the results. You gotta you got to give some of these other guys an opportunity, at least to see something different, at least to see if anything changes.
Mhm.
Because really, let's face it, you're not really risking much of anything. You're losing anyway. I would prefer to lose with different players and say that we tried something different and we saw something different than
Yeah.
to lose with the same exact lineup and be like, okay, well, what did we learn? Nothing. Because we've seen the same thing that we've seen in the past 8 games. So, yeah, I think I'm with you. Tata Martino, I will never doubt his footballing acumen.
Right.
I will never pretend that I know more than him because, I mean, as you've said before, I mean, he's forgotten more about soccer than we'll ever know in our lifetime. But
Yeah.
I do think that he needs to make some tough decisions here and to make a few changes, because if not, then this is another season that we're just throwing in the gut. And it really already seems like you're throwing it away, because it really doesn't seem like you're going to do much of anything this year.
Yeah.
But it would really be a waste if you decided to hang on and keep playing the guys that some of them will not be able to be a long-term part of this plan. So again, I want to see some change. I want to see something different. This Open Cup game was a breath of fresh air, man.
Yeah.
Not just because you won.
Right.
I mean, result against
On the road,
Chattanooga FC, yeah, it's kind of whatever, but it's a breath of fresh air because we saw some different players.
Yeah.
And we saw something that we're like, man, I wish we saw this type of play every week. And I think that is something that Tata's got to consider.
Yeah. Anything else? Or you want to wrap it up there?
No, man, let's wrap it. I think we've been going on long enough about this crap.
Nearly an hour, so I feel like that's enough for one episode. Scarvesandspikes.com is where you can find all of our coverage of the Nashville match, of the Revs match coming up on Wednesday at home, the TFC match coming up away at BMO Field on Saturday. We'll have all that coverage for you. Again, if you're watching on YouTube live or watching on demand, please like, subscribe, share our content. If you're watching on demand, please leave a comment down below. We do want to hear what you think. The show doesn't end when we end the stream. It continues. So we want to hear, if you're watching on demand, what you think. Leave a comment. That helps us out as well. And again, like, subscribe, and share our content. If you're listening to Apple Podcasts or Spotify, like I said earlier, please leave a review, leave a rating. Let us know how we're doing. We do read all of those. If you want to support our coverage, patreon.com/Scarves and Spikes. We have a $5 tier and a $10 tier. We'll give you training ground reports, bonus content, Patreon exclusive mailbags, access to our Discord, and more. So patreon.com/Scarves and Spikes is where you can do that, where you can sign up for that. Henry, where are you on social media?
I am at HA Higita on Twitter and Blue Sky, at HA_Higita on Instagram.
I am SH Rights on X, SH Rights on Blue Sky, SH.soccer on Instagram and Threads. Scarves, the letter N, Spikes on X, ScarvesAndSpikes.com on Blue Sky, Scarves A&D Spikes on Instagram and Threads. Thanks everybody for joining us. MLS Monday, 9 p.m. Eastern Time on YouTube. Catch us then as we look back at what is going on or what has gone on around MLS during match day 8. See you then.
Peace.
Speaking of MLS Monday, LAFC falling 4-1.
Yeah, I was not surprised. I was not expecting. Jeez, and they didn't even rotate. Like, they had their guys. Song played, Bordias played. That's crazy that they lose their clean sheet streak and then it's like blap, like just
everything goes downhill from there.
The earthquakes are on fire, man.
I know. Are we going to see an Earthquakes MLS Cup appearance this year?
I would not count. I would not count them out. Is what I'm trying to say. I would. They're playing really well. They're in form. Jeez, that surprised me. Timo Werner scored apparently.
Yeah, he did. What's that? His first
goal in MLS? Yeah.
Good for him. Good for him.
So he's already opened his account. The Earthquakes are on fire. They're doing really well. Plenty of other stuff to talk about this week. Miami's first win in the post Mascherano era. Montreal
bring up 2 crap goals on the way there.
Yeah, I mean, RSL keeps rolling. I mean, we got tons of stuff to talk about, so be sure to join us, guys, for that 9 p.m. tomorrow.
See you then.
See ya.